Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your man, Vaughan. Welcome once again to the Indie Unplugged. Man, today I got an amazing guest with us. Let me give you a good introduction. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, today I got my man, Blizm, a veteran hip-hop artist, producer, audio engineer, and media visionary whose career has been built on independence, longevity, and ownership. He is the founder of Chainless Entertainment and the creator of K100 Radio, a platform that spent years amplifying independent voices in music and in media. After focusing heavily on building media and supporting indie artists, Blizm is returning to the music with the Dangerous Unk, his first full-length album in over 15 years, a project rooted in mature perspectives, soulful production, sharp lyricism, and grown man hip-hop. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my man, Blizm.
Well, thank you very much. That introduction was A1. Thank you, brother.
A1, baby.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that.
A1, baby. That's how we look. It's the Indie Unplugged.
I know, right? We're ready to get into it. I expect nothing less.
How we do it, man. But It's good to see you, brother.
Absolutely. Good to see you again, bro.
You too as well. Man, so for those that don't know you, let's talk about the beginning, right? What pulled you into music, and at what point did you realize that this wasn't something that you just loved, it was something that you were going to build your life around?
I knew from an early age that I loved music, and I fell in love with hip-hop maybe around about 10, 11 years old, somewhere around up in there, when I really just started loving it, way back in the day when it really first started coming out. It was new. It was new to me, and it was a new genre, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up with it, right? But when I felt like I knew I was going to dedicate my life to it, I was in my teens. I was maybe about 16 years old when I really felt like I really wanted to do it. But at that time, I was really just kind of, stagnated as far as not being able to get into studios and stuff like that, because I'm from a small town. I'm from Panama City, Florida. And, I had no guidance. I had no family, no friends, nobody that was involved in the music industry at all. I grew up around music in the church kind of aspect because my mother was a musician and a singer too, right? So I was always around music, but as far as creating hip hop, I really didn't have any quote unquote plugs, right? So no studios, no nothing. But I knew I wanted to do it. I loved it that much. I would be writing, writing to other artists' instrumentals back in the day. I would buy the maxi singles CD, the maxi singles.
Y'all know about the maxi.
Yeah, you don't know, but I would buy the maxi
singles,
singles, right? So to make sure I get the instrumental and and try to
right.
come up with my own songs over the other artists' beats. So I knew I was capable. I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't have any plugs or whatever. So once I got able to do so, I did move to Atlanta, and that was the reason why I came to Atlanta, Georgia. I came to Atlanta with the sole purpose of getting into the music industry, and that was in 1997.
Wow! So you've been here for
about almost 30 years.
Man, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you seen shift in the Atlanta music space from when you first got here to now?
Well, the onset of the internet and social media clearly has been a big change.
I'm sure.
Of course. So that's all changed. But the city itself has changed, right? With the gentrification, when I got here, the projects were still here. They kind of, some things would change, and they cleaned up a lot of things as far as the city goes, because of the 96 Olympics and stuff. I was visiting Atlanta before I even moved here. So I saw it even before they started, changing a lot of stuff, geographically and just structurally. But culturally, I think the biggest thing in the music industry that has changed is when I got here, it was still the land of the industry itself was still ran by the majors, right? And with the onset, I watched the onset of the independent movement here really grow and just go crazy with the onset of the internet and all the showcases and everything like that. So there's a lot more opportunities. Like this platform didn't exist when I got here, right? Things like this right here, we didn't have this because the technology wasn't here. So the major thing is as far as you had platforms, but it was locked out for the big boys, right? So you couldn't get on them. It was only, and then even then it was only a couple of them. So the major thing that's really changed, as far as I can see, that I love the most and that's significant, is the number of platforms that we have now. Because there was always a lot of artists, there was always a lot of creative people, but with the technology also came a lot of innovation and things like this right here. We just didn't have in '97. That's kind of what made me start K100, right? Because we didn't have platforms. All we had was open mics. And that's all you could do. Open mics and go to the club and hit the club after the club and try to, tag your flyers or whatever. But we didn't have podcasts and, independent radio stations and stuff like that. It didn't exist. So that's the really major change that I see in music as far as the music industry goes.
And so, yeah, that's because when you think about it, you think about like Atlanta is the mecca of creativity, right? Innovation, music, art, and so when you think about it, how it used to be, I guess people will call it's the glory days of ATL back in that time frame,
right? To
where it is now, So from an independent perspective, you said that artists and producers and creative are always there, but they just didn't have the platform.
Exactly.
So what were some of the things that people did? You said showcases and things like that that kind of led the way to some of these platforms and your reason behind starting K100.
Well, honestly, we grew up with the technology. You gotta think about it, bro. Like 97 or whatever when I first got here. I got here before Pro Tools was a thing. Mm-hmm. My first album was recorded on ADATs, if you know what those are, right? You know what I'm saying? You gotta think about how long it's been, how differently things were done in the 90s. So from a creative perspective, like everything I saw the onset of the MPC. I saw the onset of Pro Tools. Therefore, I also saw the onset of social media, the onset of internet radio, the onset of podcast, everything. Everything happened right before me while I was here, and I was deeply rooted in it. So I think back, to your question, probably the major thing that really just shifted, and you said the creatives and everything was always here. That's true. And with those creative people, with those creative minds, we started coming up with ways to become more than artists. So the technology is really what sparked everything. People were always creative in Atlanta. There were always somebody trying to do something. There's always some promoter trying to do this next thing. It wasn't that people didn't want to do these kind of things. The technology just simply didn't exist. And once the technology came, ATL was on it first before a lot of people, because we was already down here grinding, trying to figure out ways to get on. So when all these little different pieces of technology started coming out, we was on it, right? So that's why people look at how long, K100's been in business, a long time, before a lot of people even heard about it. Back on Blog Talk Radio days, if you even know what that technology was, right? So it's like, bro, we've been doing this for a long time, but every time something new came out, every time some piece of technology came out, if it wasn't me, it was somebody else I knew. And I saw them use it. Okay, they saw me use it. Okay, I got that. We started building all these different, media platforms to help ourselves. Because again, we had radio, we had FM and all that. But again, you had to, it's let's just be frank. It's pay to play when it comes to the FM at a certain level, right? You're not going to get in heavy rotation without having a bag unless you got a super plug, right? You know what I'm saying? So, all of these things I feel like they came so heavy and they came so fluently and so rapidly in Atlanta because the people, the creatives were here. Everybody who don't mind investing, everybody who has an entrepreneur mindset and a creative spirit, they were here. All we had to do was find out ways. And once they started kicking out this technology, we was like, oh, let's go. Let's run it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is sometimes you have the ingenuity, but you got to wait for the technology to catch up to
that's
the ingenuity.
That's exactly what it is, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, that was the thing. I haven't been here that long. I've been here 8 years probably.
Right.
And I think that was something that I still experienced when I got here. It was kind of like a pay to play type of atmosphere or environment. Mm-hmm. And I get it at some point, right? Is if you want to be able to move ahead, there are certain things you're going to have to do from a financial perspective,
exactly,
to get yourself into the door. Mm-hmm. And so part of that is, funding your way through, right? Like in one of your songs, you were talking about, this is how you know I was listening.
Okay.
Listening. I ain't going to say it verbatim,
all right,
but the gist of it was, you put in your 10,000 hours.
Yes.
You might as well put in your 40 hours a week.
Right.
At your job, so your job can fund what you need to do, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's critically important because people don't understand that sometimes you need that financial capital in order to make your way.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure all the equipment that you have for K100, it costs.
Yeah. I had to pay for it.
You had to pay for all that, right?
Yep.
So having the financial backing, having the creativity and the ingenuity to make those things happen is what creatives need today in order to, progress themselves even further.
Yes.
So you started Chainless Entertainment in 1999, right?
In 99, yes.
99, long before all this existed. These podcasts
Oh, yeah.
and these different platforms.
Yeah.
You mentioned Blog Talk Radio. A lot of people
Right.
probably don't even know what that is.
Right.
What did independence look like then compared to today? Because a lot of people say, "Well, I'm independent,"
Mm-hmm.
but technically they really not independent. But
Yeah.
what did independence look like then versus how it looks today?
It was much more expensive to be an indie. Let me start right there. It was much more expensive. Listen, bro. The money I spent doing my first 2 albums was more than I spent on my last 4. Right?
Wow.
And that's simply because of the technology and because of I will say this, a caveat to that, me personally, the caveat to that is, after those 2, I went and I learned how to be an engineer myself, so therefore I didn't have to pay for studio time. What I did was I went and learned how to engineer and then built my own studio, right? So therefore I didn't have to pay for studio time. So that cut greatly on the cost. So I will say that much. But again, I still had to be able to go and learn that stuff. But I think back then, independent, it was more like, oh, you ain't got a deal, kind of sort of with a lot of people. It's like, it was cool to be an independent, but they were still, everybody, even if you was independent then, you were still independent until you got the deal, right? As far as music goes. Like, now we're not talking media platforms, we're talking about music, right? Because I started Chainless before I got into media.
Right.
So, that's like a decade of just me being an artist and a creative before I got into the media side, right? From around about 1997 to around about 2009 and 10 when I really first started dabbling with K100, right? So we're talking about a whole decade of just being an artist, producer, engineer, period, right? So during that time frame, I think that when you looked at being an independent artist, it was cool to be an independent, but people were still indie trying to get the deal. Like, you was independent, you was gonna do your thing if you could. If you had the bread and you had the hustle and you had the money, you was gonna put your stuff out. But the end goal was still kind of sort of shopping this around for a deal.
Yeah,
you was dropping
I'm
the
sure.
projects or whatever so you can get their attention. Where it changed, maybe about a decade into that, around like the mid 2000s, is people start feeling like now they don't even want to sign at this particular point. They just want to stay indie. Well, that was the mantra. That's what they tell you. Some of them say that, but they don't really mean it, because they really don't want that financial burden or that financial risk at the end of the day. They say they want to be indie, but they really technically don't. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, not really. But the idea of it, right? The idea of it became more mainstream, and it became more acceptable to be like, yeah, I don't need no label. We're going to do it ourselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where before it was like, yeah, we're going to do it ourselves until we can get their attention. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it all shifted, and it all changed to like where it is now. It's like, everybody's like, F the labels or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, if you feel that way, but just make sure you understand what that means when you say that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think it was like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Right?
It was. Yeah.
To be like, yo, I'm independent. I don't need the label, and I can do it all by myself. And it's like, until you really count the cost of how much you're going to have to put into it in order to really make a successful career out of, what you truly want to do. It costs a lot of money.
Yes, it does. It does.
And I don't think a lot of times people, man,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all really truly know, it actually costs a lot of money. And, and for Blizm, he's talking 2 different things, right? So one, starting Chainless as a artist, producer, engineer.
As a label, right.
As a label.
As an independent record label. I had an independent record label before I had an independent radio station, right? So I had the label. I ran the label. I did all my music and put all my music and the other artists that I was affiliated with and all the other side projects I did out on Chainless Entertainment. I was the CEO of my record label for over a decade before I even got over here and started K100.
See, and even in that, you got other artists that you're responsible for.
Right.
And for their projects,
Yep.
for their marketing, for their branding. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that actually costs a lot of money.
A lot
to
money.
do.
Yes.
And I can consider back in the day, people were like, yo, I'm gonna do this independent so I can get to the label, and the label gonna give me the bag.
Right.
Which that's a word that didn't even exist back then, but the label can give me the bag
Yeah.
so that I can then not have to worry about the financial aspect of it.
Correct.
Without really realizing that they just giving you a loan anyway.
Essentially,
And you're gonna have to recoup that anyway.
It's different when it's somebody else's money.
It is though.
Right, you
It is
play with it. You can
play with somebody else's
Yeah,
money.
you play with somebody. You can get the money, and then go out and buy a $100,000 chain, because it wasn't you didn't work for a dime of that in the first place. So you can go do ridiculous stuff like that without no thought. But when everything comes out of your pocket and your hustle, you don't go out and do that. You spend it on the material that you need. You spend it on the posters, on the flyers, on the promo, on the studio time, on the production, and you spend it for what it's for. Because you ain't, every dime matters when you're actually an independent label.
Yeah, and I think a lot of artists back then, probably independent artists, probably had more control over their product, over their music. But now today, I think a lot of it is algorithm driven, right? We are in an age where we rely on platforms that we don't have control over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a space where artists want more ownership of their music. So in your perspective, what does ownership look like because you just came out with an album, right? What does ownership look like to you in 2026?
Well, even still, like, do I completely own the Dangerous Unk? Honestly, no, because I had to have splits with producers that I work with and stuff like that, and other writers and other artists. There's people if this album was to take off, I'm not getting all the money. There's other people that's going to get money too, because we did tracks and we did contracts and leases or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and then on the back end of those, like, hey, we don't. This is the reason why I don't pay $10,000 for this beat. Is the reason why I pay maybe $800 or $1,000 for this track is, we work it out on the back end, make sure I get my publishing. So I don't even necessarily technically own the whole, we get into the technical side of it.
Right.
We talking about copyrights and stuff like that. Yeah. But we talk about publishing. Do I own that project? No, I don't own it. It's everybody that's on it, because everybody's publishing was assigned properly. Right. So if anything pops off,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Everybody's going to get paid. Right. So everybody's got a hand in it. Right. All the artists and the producers, got their just dues and got, everything was squared away on that end. So, I mean, what does ownership look like now? I guess to me, it's still expensive. It still costs more. But, if you do own everything, you can make a lot of different moves now. If you own everything, if you got your trademarks and you got your likeness and everything, you can actually do a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways you can get paid and keep the money. Like, okay, nobody's getting that money off that merch but me, right? You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's my money, right? You know what I'm saying? So, if there was kind of some, but if I was to do a sync deal or whatever, I got to kick these guys off something too over here too, right? Because they're the producers, right? We got that in the paperwork. You know what I'm saying?
It depends. I mean, if you
certain
put in a
ones.
one stop in there, you probably don't. But
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, so I'm just saying, so, I mean,
Right.
I think overall, what independence means now is more opportunity, because you can make moves and you don't have to ask anybody's permission. If somebody can come up to me right now and be like, man, I love the whole idea of this. Let's go do this. And I can be like, yes or no. I don't have to, worry about this contract that I signed or this person saying, no, that's not good for the brand. No, I'm the person that makes that decision, right? As being the CEO of the label and also being the artist combined in one. So I can go on any platform. I can talk. I can go, I can say what I want to say, without the risk of being canceled. You know what I'm saying? I have more freedom to just express myself. So there's a lot of different things. I think that's what independence looks like now. It's just more freedom, but still costs a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, I was at an event last week, and at the event, it was a sync licensing event. And at the event, someone got up and was talking about a deal that they had. They said that a huge platform reached out to them and was like, hey, we like that song. Boom, we want that song for our platform, for whatever they were going to use it for. And the person admitted that they never got back to him. One was like, wow, if you knew the
right.
I mean, it was, a huge black media platform, right? That this person was contacted by, and they never got back to him. And they said the reason why they never got back to him, right? And this is kind of what you were alluding to when I'm talking about ownership in 2026, is because the producer messed it up. And because the producer had ownership on the album, the person couldn't submit it for the sync placement without the other party say so.
That's true, yeah.
And so the other person was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
And he completely missed out on the opportunity.
So you have to ask yourself, when you're an independent artist, whenever you're creating a body of work, what is your end goal and what is your end game with this project? When I created the Dangerous Unk, and this is not all my projects were with this mind frame. This was more of a legacy project for me. This album was not meant for me to quote unquote get on, become a star, do anything like, I wasn't thinking about syncing. I just wanted to create a really dope body of work as a legacy project. So I worked with different producers, people that I hadn't worked with before ever. You know what I'm saying? And some of them are like, if you want to do syncing, we got to come back and revisit and we got to talk. But we'll do this, right? You can do this, whatever, right? And so that was in the paperwork. It's like, cool, because in creating this particular project now, here's the thing. Every project is, it is what it is. Like, if you really dope, you can always cook up again. If somebody reaches out to you and you say, hey, and that's in that scenario, man, this one right here, I can't do it. But guess what? I can immediately go cook something up that sounds just like it without that producer because I can do that. Now, everybody can't, but I can. You know what I'm saying? If somebody says something about a song and something happens with that producer, I will immediately go back and find somebody else to redo something like that in that same vein and try and represent it. That's what I would have done in that scenario, right? I can't use that one. Check this one out before I even get back with you. After I talk with this person, give me a second. Let me go back here and cook something up real quick. Hey, man, I can't get that one. But what you think about this, right? And this one, I know this one is clear because I produced it myself. You know what I'm saying? Or I know this producer differently. We got a different situation going on. For this particular project, I didn't really think, I thought about it, but I was like, if I have to come back and revisit it, if I get that call, I'm gonna call you, bro. Like, okay, we'll talk then, right? But I didn't let that stop me from creating the particular song I wanted to create in the moment I heard that particular track because I liked it and it spoke to me. So this album was personal and was more legacy because I'm at this age, I'm not really thinking about certain things like that. This was like, I just want to create something dope. When people hit play, it's raw. That's it. And that was my goal here. I feel like I accomplished that. So there are some songs on there with some of the producers where I kind of have that situation where if someone was to reach out to me, I got to give them a call. I got to hit them up like, hey, yo, what you think? Like, you know what I'm saying? If they don't want to do it, I can be like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Because I did. There's some songs I ain't got to do that with because some songs were self-produced. You know what I'm saying? And some songs were with people that I got different kind of relationships with.
Right.
But some songs on there, you know what I'm saying? It was people I worked with for the first time. So we had a discussion and it was like through the emails and whatever. And in the contract and in the thing, it's like, listen, if you want to sync, yo, you got to come back and holler at me because we got to see what they're talking about. Right. And that's cool. And if they don't do it, I can't be mad because I knew that going into it. And I considered that even when I put the song on the album. It's okay. Right, so those are decisions that you have to make when you are independent artist. But you have to know what you're doing though. You don't get mad. You can't come back and get mad. Get on the internet, get your Twitter fingers out, mad at the producer when y'all already had it. Was the conversation had beforehand, fam? Then you can't trip. Right at the end of the day. But go if you dope like that, go in there, cook something else up, and see if they like that. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, that's how I felt too about the whole thing, and I was like, wow, you never really got back to them when you could have taken some of those avenues that you just mentioned in order to go back and say, hey, we ain't got that, but how about these?
Right.
Do these fit the vision that you have for whatever you're looking to do?
Yes.
Right. But to not get back
is egregious.
At all?
That's crazy. That's crazy. Because the way you're saying it, I'm pretty sure it was something big. I'm like, nah, you don't not get back.
Yeah,
bro.
no, I mean,
you don't not get back.
I mean, you got Revolt calling your number like, hey, what's good?
Yeah, I'm answering the phone.
I'm answering the phone.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Exactly. You know I'm gonna figure it out because I'm sure
it
was, and when you get into the whole sync licensing deal thing, these aren't little numbers.
Right.
Some of them may be like, hey, we pay $500 for this because it's like this, we're only gonna use 10 seconds.
Right.
But I get briefs all the time because I did a song for sync. Now I'm in the libraries, and I get these briefs, and I'm looking at the payout, and I don't produce. I got equipment, blah blah, right?
Right. It's nice to hear y'all. If y'all
it's nice. I got equipment over here. I do my thing when I do. But I was telling Clint, who does a lot of sync in London and all them, I was like, I don't have time to do what y'all do. Like, I just don't. Right. Nor do I have the skill set, I'll say that, to do what they do at the level that they do it. Right.
They're probably cranking them out, right?
Yeah, because like, for an example, Anthony Clint Jr., he huge in sync licensing. He makes his own music. Right. I make my own music too, but he makes his own music. He mixes, he's an engineer. Right. I'm not really an engineer. Right. Even though I did take engineering from a guy named Carl Napple, who did a lot of work with like Justin Timberlake and NSYNC and Michael Jackson, all these people. I learned from him, and another dude named Junior Mayers out in Virginia. He did work for Teddy Riley and a whole bunch of people. But just because I took two classes, don't mean I'm an engineer.
Right, it's a difference.
So, and he masters his own stuff.
Right.
He crank them out. Right. They come back, hey, we need this. Boom, we got it.
So then that's it. And
I don't have that capacity.
And so I do, right? You know what I'm saying? I can't go in there and do that, right? I decided to not do it as much on this project, but on a lot of my other albums, a lot of the tracks that people know me from, I did self-produce some of them. Some of my very more known songs, right? But this time I just wanted to kind of be an artist, more so on the Dangerous Unk. I was like, man, I want to be a rapper on this one, bro. Like, I want to just spit on this one. Like, I just want people. I wanted to bring it back to how I was when I first got here. When I first got here, I didn't know how to produce, engineer, and I was just a rapper. And that's what I wanted to kind of pull. That's the essence of what I wanted to more so do. And I was a writer, and I was a rapper and a songwriter. And that's why you hear on the album there's a lot of melodic hooks, because, you know, I write all the hooks and everything. But I also recorded and mixed every song. I wrote every hook. You know what I'm saying? So, you know. Right. So in the producer sense of the word, and I know you had this conversation before on your platform, I've seen it. In the producer sense of the word, I produced every song. In the real producer,
right?
I had other beat makers that I worked with. You know what I'm saying? But there's not even that. Every single track on that album doesn't sound like the track that they gave me. I went and changed something in every single one. I added the sound, I removed the sound, I arranged it differently, everything. And of course, I wrote all the songs and I recorded and mixed all the songs. So I produced.
You produced the album.
I produced the album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You produced the
I produced
album.
the entire. I produced and executive produced the album. Right. It's just that I did work with some other. And I don't want to call them beat makers, because that's kind of disrespectful to put, because they put their time in their craft too. So I consider them producers as well.
We're gonna call them composers.
Right, yeah, that's what it's called.
Right.
on the sheets,
that's on the
the paperwork. It's called They're composers. You know what I mean? We want to get technical, of course, yes. Right. But also keep in mind that I also touched every single one of those tracks and manipulated them and changed them, every single one. And if you was to look at the stems, they said, "Oh, I didn't have that sound." I know you didn't. I know you didn't. I
put that in.
You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to. I wanted. I heard it. Right. That's so right. every single one of them has been manipulated.
So why 15 years? What?
Man, life be lifing. We'll start right. We'll start life be lifing. Number one, and number two, I really put a lot in the K100, bro. I put a lot into that platform. You know what I mean? When people see, you know, that platform and the brand recognition that you see that it comes with, that came with a lot of time and work, and I put a lot into it. So in between just life, raising kids, you know, my kids, a lot happened in the past 15 years. Bought my first home, got married, kids graduated. You know what I'm saying? Then, you know, doing K100 Radio, it's like a lot. COVID happened. I can give you a million reasons why all of a sudden I blink and it's 15 years later. I don't want to make excuses, but that's just what happened. Like, it just went down all of a sudden. Bro, it's been 15 years since I did an album. And I'm like, wait, what? What this look like? And then when I started doing this album, everybody's like, bro, you doing an album? And I started realizing just how long it been. And it kind of snuck up on me too, honestly. It went by fast.
I'm sure. I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
So what made it the right time? What was something what was that click for you that said, now is the time to get back into it?
Well, there are two events that got me really just back on and just creating. And when I caught COVID and I almost died, right? So I was in the hospital. And I was basically I was basically about to check out. You know what I'm saying? My doctors basically, I can't even talk. My oxygen's at 20 something. The doctors, talking to my wife, telling her, make sure y'all have the necessary conversations. I'm giving her all the codes and making sure she knows where all the insurance papers at, because they were telling me tomorrow if oxygen doesn't go up, we got to intubate him, and we don't know if he's going to come back out of it, right? I had severe COVID pneumonia that kind of takes you out. I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital for a while, and I was on oxygen for 3 months after I got out. So I was one of those. I had it really bad.
Wow.
When I was on that bed, I was thinking about, of course, at that point, you start thinking about things that you could have done. You start, texting friends and family and telling them, talking to your kids, saying things, I don't think I'm going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't feel like I was, right? So as I was in the bed, one of the things I remember thinking about was, man, I had some really dope songs on my hard drive I ain't never put out. And I was like, man, nobody's never going to hear them, right? So when by the grace of God, I came out of that. The next day, the doctor walked in at 8:00 in the morning. They had given me the round of experimental drugs called dexamethasone and remdesivir. That was the first. I was the first round of people that they ever actually tried it on, and it worked. That was the one. That was the one. That was when they first got it. I was like one of those first experiments. They had the people from Emory coming in there checking on me, just constantly to see if it was working or not, to make sure to see how I was doing, to make sure it was working, so they can go give it to other people.
They were like, "Yo, give it to him." We gonna
right. I was like, give me whatever.
Patient zero.
Yeah. So and that next morning, I woke up and I couldn't talk and everything, but the doctor came in and he said, "Mr. Blue, your oxygen at 36." And he was like, "I'm gonna call your wife for you and tell her, you know what I'm saying, you didn't go down, you went up." So they said, we're not gonna intubate you. They said if you get to 40 by the end of the day, we turned the curve. By later on that night, I was at like 40 something by the time it got dark. So and I just immediately, maybe the next 2 days, I started to feel better and everything, right? So when I got out, the first thing I did, after I could move around and, after a couple of months, after I got my wind back and everything and I could focus, I immediately put out 3 songs. Those 3 songs that I had sitting on my hard drive that I was just toying with and thinking about. And that was going to be, those would have been like the first songs on the Dangerous Unk had I seen through with it, right? But just from a creative space, I was like, I just needed to put something out because I almost died. Now, I would have severely, you're gone. But
crazy.
but I put those songs out, and those songs were songs called Time Changes, Socialize, and Custom Fit. So I put those 3 records out because I just love those records, and I was going to do it anyway, but I was procrastinating, right? Stuff kept happening.
Yeah.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Life.
So I immediately put those out. I shot a video for Time Changes, and the feedback that I got from Time Changes when I shot the video, all of these people that hadn't seen me rap never before because they didn't know me back then. They thought I was only K100 Radio, or all my old people that were rocking me for years gravitated to Time Changes so much because on the song I'm talking about my wife, I'm talking about my cousin that just got out of prison, I'm talking about my son and everything. So it's like a real personal record, and it was like, bro, we love this record. Everybody really loved Time Changes. So at that point, that made me feel like, hey, okay, people still like music that I make. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like past I'm not making what people make because it was my kind of song. I did a song that I wanted to put out and people gravitated to it, right? And so that was the one thing. So that was around about 2021. So then I was like, okay, I contemplated working on an album in 21. Got busy again. Things started happening, right? And life stuff and everything. And then in 2023, one of the artists that's on the label, that's been down with the label almost since inception, not since inception, but for a long time, named Vision. She's been down with Chainless. She's basically Chainless, Entertainment too. And she, after over a decade of not putting out music, she stepped to me. She was like, "I'm ready to do a project." And she's one of the very few people that I'll actually do that for. That will actually be like, I really need you. She's like, I'm asking a tall order because I need you to quarterback it. I need you to executive produce it, and I need you to write some songs, and I need you to do. I was like, hold on, that's a lot of work. And she was like, I really, please, can you, like, as a friend, right? And so she's maybe one of maybe 5 or 6 people that I would do that for. I got other people but she was the one. Like I got other homeboys I'm cool with like that. Had they asked me, I probably would have did it too. But she asked me, and it's an R&B artist, and it was a lot of work to get that project. And so we put that project together. We dropped See What I'm Saying late 2023, 2024, and then I wrote songs on that. We mixed up. I recorded the whole thing up in here in Atlanta, in my studio. She lives in Florida, but she came up here. We did 2 marathon sessions and knocked the album out, and we put it out. And I shot and I directed and edited her video, the single off of it. I produced that song too. It got some FM radio play down there. All the women down there were loving it. And I was just sitting back watching like, wow, man, I just put out a whole project. It wasn't mine, but it's on the label. I said, the label ain't dead. I just started thinking like, my music, I'm not too old. And then on a grand scale, like I mentioned in another interview, I just started seeing everybody in the industry start being more acceptable to the OG artist. I started seeing people like LL put out albums. Nas putting out all these projects.
That was a dope album.
You know what I'm saying? Killer Mike wins the Grammy.
Right.
Clips coming back out. Everybody just start putting out projects. And guess what? Ain't nobody saying all these old need to go sit down. Now everybody's like, please, we need
you
more.
can say what you was gonna say.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, all these everybody ain't saying all these old heads need to get. No. That's not what they saying. Everybody's saying, give us more. This is what we like. This is what we playing. This is what we rocking with. This is what the game missing. This is what the game needed. So all of that, putting out that R&B album on the label, almost, not making it through COVID and just realizing I had a plethora of really great music that I didn't create and I really wanted to get into the world. And then seeing the industry on a grand scale come back around and start accepting OG artists. All that was why I decided now was the time to do the Dangerous Unk, and I just couldn't wait any longer.
Wow. brother, that's one heck of a story, man.
Yeah.
Like, because when you sit back and you think about it, man, like nobody's promised tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's promised tomorrow. So how do we leave this world whenever that time is without regrets?
Yeah.
Right. And I appreciate that story. Because people know I'm 51. Like
Right.
people be like, oh man, you old head. You born in 74.
Right.
Dang, bro, you back then when hip hop first started, right?
Yeah.
Like, so and everybody has dreams.
Yeah.
Everybody has things that they wish that they would have done. And I think the lesson is that it's never too late
Yes.
to do the things that you want to do.
Yep.
For years, I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
For years, I sang in groups all my life growing up.
Right.
Choir. Then I just never went back and do it. Now you talking about a hiatus? If I did it, man, you talking about 40-year hiatus, bro.
Do you want to do it? That's the question. Do you want to do it?
I do want to do it.
And I wanted to do it.
I do.
I can honestly, I don't like to use terms like this, but I can literally die tomorrow and I'll feel much better about it.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly.
Cause what did DJ Jazzy Jeff say? He talked about dying empty.
Right.
Right. He's like, don't leave this world with regrets. Die empty. Whatever you got, whatever talent, creativity,
Yes.
you just lay it all on the table, right?
Yeah.
Some people gonna like it, some people not gonna like it. And so
that's what this album was, B.
just put it out.
That's what the Dangerous Unk was for me. It was that. And I put it out, and guess what? People love it. And I'm getting all this.
Dope,
I'm getting all this great, excellent. Listen, I'm. Trust me, I'm good now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had to do it. Like I say this all the time, and people think I'm like it's like hyperbole, but it's not. I honestly feel like this is my last album. I don't think I'll ever do a complete whole album again. Not because I don't feel like I have it in me, which is like I don't need to. Like at this point, but I needed to do this one because I just felt like I left too much on the table musically, and it's been so long. I was like, but I still got doing that and writing those songs for that last R&B album, and I was like, okay, so my hook game is still here because I'm listening to all the people go back and she's performing and all the women are singing the hooks word for word at her shows. Clearly, my hooks are still like that. You know, you know what I'm saying? So my pen is still like that. Now I'm missing my bars, right? Time changes showed I still had them bars. Then the other songs Socialized. People were like, yo, you nice. I didn't even know you was like that. People were telling me they were listening to those records, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, the pen is still up, right? And I just needed to just get off the couch. I just needed a little push. And then I needed to see, does it make sense to do it? Like from a professional music, okay, I'm seeing start seeing all the other OG artists do it and have some success and have people and have platforms eating it up. Okay, now let's do it. And I think it was just a great timing, but I feel so much better, bro, doing this album. I feel like it's just a weight lifted off me. Because it's been years it took me to get this out of me, bro.
So let's talk. There's two things I want to talk about what you just talked about. So the first one, why the name Dangerous Unk?
And that's the Unk is literally my life. Like literally, I'm an Unk, bro. And I tell people this. I embrace my Unkhood. That's what I call it.
Your Unk.
I completely embrace my Unkhood. I am a full blown Unk out here. Like. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old homeowner. I'm gonna get off my lawn. I don't want y'all aggravating me. You know what I'm saying? My kids are grown. You know, we technical empty nesters because our kids are grown, do for their stuff, even though some of them still live at the house. Like we don't got to do nothing for them. They got their own cars and lives. We see them when we see them. Sometimes I go days without seeing these people and they live in my house. You know what I'm saying? And even
you know what? That is so crazy, right? Because I got children. I got kids that live in my house too. Sometimes it be days.
Right.
Well, I don't think it's ever a day that I go because I'm going in a room. Ooh, hey, what's up? What you in here doing?
Yeah, I don't.
Boom. What you in here doing? Okay, like I'm making sure you good. Like my kids will tell you I'm busting in their room.
I leave by
just so I can see their face.
So I'm like we technically like empty nesters at this point. And so the Unk is like, and then here's the thing: my son's friends, my friends' children, all of them refer to me as Unk. What's up, Uncle Blue? What's up, Unk? Like I'm that Unk. I'm that person to them, right? And so instead of running away from that, instead of being one of these. This is what I felt like people always hated about quote unquote old heads. It was too many of us trying to sound like we were 20-something years old. That was the problem. I think that was the problem when a lot of us was in our 30s and we were still 30, we was 35.
Still trying to dress like
right.
them,
Yeah, we trying to do everything
talk
they
like
doing.
them.
And we not them no more. And so they're looking like, bro, like chill. You know what I'm saying? Like you done. Well, no, we not done. We done with that. So we got to start rapping about what we doing now in our life now. And so the unk side of it is like, if you listen to the album, if you listen to it, I tell you stories and I give you lore of my childhood and my days running the streets, but I make sure to put a timestamp on it, A, and say, don't do it, B, and this is what I learned from it, C, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I did it. Don't you do it. And here's what I learned in that particular order when you listen to the records.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If you listen to all of them, it's always a message in it, right? So that's the unk side of it. And the dangerous is twofold, because I'm gonna just keep it real with you, bro. Like, I am who I am. Like I'm not to be trifled with. Like, I ain't going. You know what I'm saying? So even though I'm 50-something years old, I'm not going. I don't know what you think, but I ain't going. Whatever you think, I'm not going. I'll revert back in a minute. Quick. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I got more money for lawyers now. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't trying to hear none of that, right? So I'm gonna go, but I am far, far harder to trigger. You feel me? My age has brought about my temper is night and day now, right? What used to trigger me and I would snap quicker. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can step in my shoes. Sorry, cuz, you good? Yeah, we good. Like, before I'm ready to ready to take off. Like, and you don't say nothing, I'm ready to take off immediately in my 20s and really 30s. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So like now it's like, so that's still like the dangerous side of me, because I'm still like that. And also the dangerous that is literally and figuratively, because now I'm so much more wiser. I got so much more knowledge, and knowledge makes you a dangerous person as well. So I know a lot more now. So I'm dangerous to a label, because you could never get me. I know way too much now. I'm the one you're gonna have to pay. You feel what I'm saying? So now I'm a dangerous unk. Like, you could never give me a crazy deal. But what are you talking to? You know
exactly
what? Right? So it's twofold. It's like figuratively and literally. That's where the dangerous comes from. So it's like the merging of those things makes it the dangerous unk. Yeah.
Yeah, when you young, prior military, right? Yeah, boy, because when I was in the
and I think they think the problem you have when you this age is people expect for you to not react a certain way.
Exactly.
But people are who they are at the end. So we all have a limit, right? So if you're capable of doing something, and people know my background, they know what I'm capable of doing, I can go back. Just please don't make me do that.
Don't make me go back.
Why would you? No, because what I was doing back then, I was in the mix. So I had a more propensity to get into that. Now I ain't even living like that, bro. So I should have no problems out y'all. Like, everything should be cool, because I'm cool, you cool, we cool, everything's
cool. And I ain't got no problem. I'm trying to get home to my family.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to see the kids.
Right.
I'm trying to, use my equipment. I'm trying to edit videos. I'm trying to do what I want to do. I ain't trying to get into no craziness, but if you want to go there,
that's the point. That's the dangerous.
That's the dangerous part.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna know I'm coming. I'm gonna sneak up on you though. You're gonna be like, yo, where he come from? I'm like a ninja in the night. Like,
that's what it is. That's really like, it's really like me for real though. Like, it's like, but it's like it's not hyperbole. You know what I'm saying? And it's up here too as well. So I feel like I've learned and gained so much knowledge just from the industry and life that makes you dangerous, man. To other people, to
other people,
to not skin folk. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? We also dangerous when we got this knowledge, because we know how to guide other people away. So now we going against the plan. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I heard who said that? Wall Street Trapper. I think Wall Street Trapper said it because a lot of Wall Street Trapper is, right? Yeah. So Wall Street Trapper was talking on some interview, and the dude was asking him, how come y'all never really learned, when he said y'all, he's talking about black people, never really learned about financial literacy. Did you see this interview? Right? And he was like, well, why would the lion teach the zebra how to get away?
Right.
And I was like, yo, that's a great analogy. Like in today, because, back in the day, the information we have that's relevant and prevalent today, it was there back then, but nobody was really interested.
Exactly.
Right? They weren't writing all these books about the music business and music publishing, and branding and all that stuff back then. Right? You had label departments that did all of that. You do the artist.
Right.
We're going to do all this, right?
That's why we're going to take all the money. Keep going.
Right, take all the money. But now we got books.
Yeah.
Now we got people who've been in the industry for a long time that know and can teach others how to get away from the lion. And it's like, once you figure out how to get away from the lion, you can go do whatever it is you want to do.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we talk about LaRussell. He just signed the whole deal with Rock Nation, right?
Uh-huh.
And kind of taking it back to what you were talking about earlier is, as an independent, what is the goal that you want? And for LaRussell, it may have been, once I reach a certain level, then I want to be signed to a label that can take it to the next.
Right. He
level.
can. I haven't watched him, a lot of his interviews, but I watched enough of him, and maybe that's what he always felt internally. Like, because here's the thing, and you know what? I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, bro. Anybody watching this, I'm not gonna speak for that man. I can only speak for me. I can tell you right now, you can go and in your whole mind really fully believe that you never gonna sign, that you always do that. But after years, when you first start, you feel like that. But after maybe a decade or however long it takes of you actually doing everything yourself, if somebody come up and say, hey man, let me take that off your hands.
Yeah.
And you just go chill and just rap. After doing it for a long time, listen, bro. Like, what do I? At that point, you're looking at it like, okay, what do I? Because you're giving up something. He knows he's not a new artist. He knows exactly what he was signing. Exactly. He had people read it. He knew. So whatever they giving up, he walked into that eyes wide open, clearly. And you know what? At the end of the day, he may have just been tired of just doing everything himself. You get tired. You get burnt out, and that's what people don't want to talk about. Yeah, I'm gonna stay independent forever. Okay, we're gonna see.
We're gonna see
how long until you get, because everybody get burnt out. I don't care what. If they say they don't, they lying. I don't believe you. I just don't. I've seen the best of them get burnt out, right? And I've seen people with deals get burnt out, and you ain't even got to do this. You ain't got to do that. All you got to do is rap. All you got to do is tour, and you burnt out. So you mean to tell me when you got to tour, do the marketing, pay for the promo, pay for the studio time, pay for the marketing, pay for the branding, pay for the t-shirts, hand them out, stick out you ain't gonna get burned
email
out.
Addresses, go around.
You're not gonna get burned out.
You're gonna get burned out,
and that's where people be like, the best way to stay in there for how long? How long? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say until I can get to a point where I have leverage and then I can broker a deal.
Yep.
That's more beneficial for me than it is for the label.
Right.
But then the question, because my co-host Ty, we talk about this. And matter of fact, I just posted a clip him saying this, is that what does independent really mean? He feels that if you're getting support in any way from any type of label, partnership, distribution, you're not really independent because you're answering to somebody else. Right.
I don't listen. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay, so I do too.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of popular rappers who would love to rap and say they independent and they wasn't independent when they said it. I don't want to call names because you know what I'm saying, people got fans and I don't feel like going back and forth with these trolls. You know what I'm saying? But people know who I'm
Dangerous
talking about.
Unk. Y'all better watch out.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me? I don't feel like going back. I've stopped doing that. That's for my own concern. I've stopped going back and forth with people online because things can escalate and I realize that.
Right.
So I stopped doing it, right? So, but there are a lot of artists who got famous off saying they were independent and they weren't. They really had slick deals to the point where the label signed them and said, don't tell nobody. We're going to give you the money. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, we know. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of them, right? And people know those stories. They true. They happened. And it was because saying you independent sounds so cool. Saying you did it on your own sounds better than, it's like when you see people and they were like trust fund babies and you like, man, your mom, you got that money from your mom and dad. You don't respect it as much as somebody who got it out the mud.
Nepotism.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So people love to say that, but when people ask me, well, Blizm, you ain't never did a deal. I had a deal. I talk about it on the second verse of Last Call. I had one on the table. I didn't take it. And to this day, I often think about, was that the right decision? You know what I mean? I often think about, should I have signed that deal? Right? You know, maybe I should have. And for the first time, I really spoke about it for the first time on this album, on Last Call, that second verse, when I kind of bring it up, it's like, I don't talk about that because I made that decision and I live with it, right? Maybe that was the right decision because I didn't sign that particular deal because that was way back at the dawn of the 360 deals, and everybody was kind of like, what is this? And that was the first time I had seen one. I took it to an attorney. That was like the third one he seen, and it was different from the first two he seen. And he was like, listen, you paying me. I don't know. You know, shit, they was like, we got to wait a minute because, you know, we don't know where this is all going. And I was advised against it. So I took the advice of my attorney, period. I didn't make the decision on my own. I took the advice of an entertainment attorney.
And that's what the entertainment attorney is.
Right.
That's why you
that's
go
what I
to
paid
one
him
of them.
for, right?
Exactly.
So I didn't. And some people say you was in the door and you kind of, no. I was at the door, but I mean, they don't necessarily mean they opened the door for me. They just cracked it and said, "Hey, you want to get in? Here's some, and it didn't sit right with me, and I felt like they wanted me more as a writer, not an artist, and I wanted to be an artist. You know what I mean? I felt like they were really bringing me on to write for other people.
Now imagine that, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Imagine that you getting signed. You get signed. You're like, oh yeah, you got signed, but
Right.
they shelf you as an artist,
Right.
but then use you as a writer,
Yeah.
the entire time.
It's exactly what I felt like the situation was, the just the vibe, just the energy of it
Now-
all. And then when the lawyer, I'm good. And I think about it often to this day, right? Was that the right decision? You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, it is what it is. I made my decision and I can live with that. And for me, it's like I never got another contract, a real contract handed to me before, since then. But guess what? I still been able to create. I still been able to create a great life for myself. My kids all thriving. My kids all graduated. I'm still living in a nice home. You know what I'm saying? I still travel the world. You know what I mean? I'm doing a lot. And I guess what? I still got the rights over all my music to this day.
That's right.
So I know people who can't even do that stuff, who had record deals, who can't even do any of that stuff. And guess what? They had that one hit and they can't even do nothing with that one song because the label own it. And they can't even go perform it right now.
Can't do nothing.
And they can't do nothing. They can't perform that song, and everybody know them for that one song, and they can't even perform it. So,
imagine being in a predicament like that.
Right,
You
B.
got music, but you can't even do nothing,
Can't do
with,
nothing
it
with it. I mean,
because you don't own it, or you don't own it, and so
Yeah.
they dictate everything regarding it.
that would feel.
That was crazy.
I had friends. I got real close friends, and people know my people who was in a situation like that where they just couldn't put out music because they were still locked up in the deal, and that the conversation that we would have about what that felt like, because I knew them before the deal, and the conversation about what does that feel like that, just talking to them, that I was like, I never wanted to be in that situation. You know what I mean? I was like, that seems like the absolute worst situation in the world to be in, to be an artist, but the label's not dealing with you, they're not messing with you, but they won't let you go. So you can't do nothing.
You can't do nothing.
You can't make no money for music.
Nothing.
You can't do nothing. To the point where you're like, hey, guess what? You're known. So guess what? You're known. So guess what? You can't just go back doing street stuff no more because everybody know who you are.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So now do you work a 9 to 5? But guess what? Everybody know you. They can't see you bagging groceries or doing nothing crazy.
be at Publix.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, it's a insane situation to be in. And I'm just glad that whether I got a deal or not, I'm glad I was never in that situation.
But we talked about that on the podcast before, where you will have labels that will sign artists and shelf artists, right? We talked about how labels operate from an artist tier perspective.
Yes, they do.
Right? And
Yeah.
so if you're in the bottom tier, that's the worst place to be, because you got to fight so much just to get to a level of visibility
Right.
that they would even look at you to go, you know what, we probably can do something to that person.
But I was
Probably.
already, but I'm signed already.
Yeah,
What do you mean? You can probably do something. What did you sign me for? And that's like
We
insane.
signed you so that nobody else can sign you, and we wanted you. But yeah, you still got to prove yourself though. We signed you. We drop a project. Cool. Project doesn't do what we thought it was. We thought it was going to do. Now you move down a level on the artist tier, and you thought you were A rank, but then now you C rank, right? How you gonna get back up to B rank to get back to A rank?
So now you got to feel like you're indie doing showcases again when you got a whole record
Exactly.
deal. You got to do all this extra stuff that you feel like you've already done, that you've proven to actually get the deal that you worked so hard to get.
right.
And now you got to go back and act like you're indie again.
That's
and
right.
Like yeah, that ain't the life for me, bro.
That's not. Yeah.
That's exactly how I end up. Going in somebody's office with a bat like Ice Cube.
Like
you know what I'm
Ice Cube.
saying? Like
Ice Cube
making the
was.
news. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's so crazy? Every time I watch that movie, not to give y'all too much, y'all know I kind of talk about it on the show. Every time I watch that movie, my nephew's in that movie.
Oh yeah.
He's in that scene.
Oh really?
Yes, he's in that scene
That's dope.
with Ice Cube's son. And he's breaking stuff. A Tyron is standing there,
Right.
Just like, yeah, what you gonna do, right? But he's in a couple scenes in the movie. He's in the scene, not to get to, he's in that scene, and he's also in the scene where they're coming down the elevator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my nephew's an MMA fighter.
Okay, I got it.
Tyron Woodley.
Okay.
I don't know if you watch MMA.
I
but-
do.
Yeah.
I don't watch. I'm not a Die
Yeah,
Hard, but I watch him.
Yeah, but he was in the movie, and then we were like, again, we didn't know it. We were like, yo, hold up, let's turn around in the movie, like you. But anyway, yes, back to the story. Yes, you don't want to be in a situation where you got to revert back to your old self and then come into the studio.
Right.
In
It's
that sense.
I every day, I don't know. I think if you're a religious person or whatever, and you're watching this, like, I just feel like maybe God knew I wasn't ready for what they could have popped. Because I wouldn't, like I told you earlier, I ain't going. Boy, ain't no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know me back then, how I would have reacted. I would have been on that kind of time in my 20s, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm on that kind of time, right? So what? Oh, you know what I mean? And so I might have just spared myself a whole world of just by not signing. That's how I choose to look at it, bro. People be like, "Do you regret that?" Man, I ain't finna live my life like that, bro. I choose to believe, like I choose to this day believe like I made the right decision because I'm still here. I'm breathing. I'm free. I'm
kids,
outside.
The wife, nice house,
and
life is good.
And I just dropped the album, and it's doing good.
And it's doing good.
And they got to ask for no permission.
That's right. That's right. You mentioned ageism.
Yeah.
In hip hop, right? And the resurgence of what we would call old heads back in the limelight in hip hop. Why do you think hip hop has such a problem with ageism?
Oh, because you want me to tell you the real reason?
Yeah.
Oh, my thing here
sure.
because you can sucker a young dummy quicker than you can an old person with experience. I feel like this all came from the labels. Yeah, it's somewhat part of our culture, somewhat. But we didn't really care when people was 30, 40, 50 back in the 70s when they were doing certain kind of music or whatever. You know what I mean? We didn't really care too much. We cared more, and I feel like they made it uncool because the labels will always rotate them out. You had to rotate out unless you were a legacy artist and you had a really huge following, and even still, some of those got put out to pasture, right? I felt like that was all orchestrated on a higher level because if all the old heads are the artists that we keep signing on the major scale, because everything moves with FM radio and all that kind of stuff, if we keep letting all these older artists hang around, that next time when that deal run out, we ain't gonna be able to get them the second time. We're not gonna be able to fool them twice, right? They already signed one bad deal and know what it's like to have a whole bunch of money coming in and they ain't seeing none of it. They're not gonna sign this again. So time for you to move on. We need to go find this little kid on the block down here who's just fresh out, who got the big starry eyes, all they want to do is just get on. We're gonna go sign these jits. We're gonna go sign these young cats. We're gonna go sign these YNs because we know we got y'all that first deal because y'all used to be one of them. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel like it all started at the highest levels of the industry. They never wanted older guys to stay around in hip hop because the older you get, the more dangerous you get, the smarter you get. You understand what I'm saying? That makes you a now you dangerous. Now you smart. I'm not gonna sign that deal out. You already got me for the first decade of my career. Why would I sign that same deal? But I got all these fans. We don't care. We know for a fact you're not gonna sign the new deal that we want you to sign. Why would we sign a deal with you and then split all the money with you 70-30 your way when we can go sign another young artist who don't know nothing and we can get the whole 99% again? Next, put you out the pasture. We ain't playing your songs on the radio or in the club. No, sir. We ain't putting no money in this machine. Ain't going behind you. You nice. We know. Matter of fact, we know you. We know for a fact you ain't gonna go to jail, likely because you older. But if he go to jail, it don't matter. We gonna put an insurance policy on him anyway.
Woo!
You feel what I'm saying?
That's right.
Okay, so why would I keep the older legacy artists around no matter how many fans they got? Because I can't make them sign the second deal again because they're not stupid no more. They're not starry-eyed kids no more. They're grown adults with kids, and they got bills and responsibilities. We can't step to them the same way. We can't handle them the same way as we did with these young guys. So we got to put you out the pasture, and we got to get you. Therefore, the rotation started at the highest levels, and it just trickled down to the industry because we needed it's a young man's game. Who was saying
That's
that?
what you was here.
Who was saying it? Who was saying it? You never heard other artists say it.
Never heard an artist say it. I never heard older people say it. Older, mature,
right?
Artists.
You heard it. You heard young executives online saying it. You heard young promoters online saying it. Because I ain't going with you, young promoter, young black promoter. Club promoter. I ain't going with you either. Game. It's a young man's game because I know I can get over that young man.
You hear executives talking about it.
Right.
That became the vernacular that they use. It's the phrase. It's a young man's game.
It's a young man's game because the younger you are, the dumber you are. So everybody with the money can manipulate you easier. That's why it's a young man's game. That's why it was never meant to be an old man game, because you know I ain't going. Off top. You know I already know the game. You know I ain't going. So you ain't gonna be able to handle me the same kind of way. So it's easier for them to deal with them. That's why it's a young man's game. Now, again, we did have a problem with older guys trying to be young in the music. I think we got past that. I think the older guys wised up and said, you know what? Nah, hip hop is like 50. We gonna rap the way we rap and stick to our lives, and then people will start liking it. And then when people start doing it, the people start coming back to me. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We can hear your old legacy hits, but when you drop something new, I don't need for you to be talking like you're 20 no more. I need for you to talk to me how I am now. And then when they started doing that, when we started doing that, it started to all make sense. But them labels still ain't finna sign us. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You feel me?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, we still don't want y'all old heads over here.
I think people would like with Clips and people like that and Killer Mikes and all those are just relationships that they built over the years, so they were still able to have all the right things in place where they could still work with for real, where they could still work with, these teams of people who could still, and they had money saved up with various different ways.
You must be reading my mind, because I was about to ask you.
They had money saved up. They probably put a lot of their own money into their projects, which allowed them to keep ownership, right? Okay, that's cool. So now they're making different kind of moves. They're moving as a label, not just the artist nowadays. So you got these people that are moving like labels and not just artists, but these labels are the labels. So we need artists. We don't need label artists. We need artists. So we're going to go sign one of these young cats over here. We don't care what they're talking about. They can drill themselves to death. We don't matter. We're going to put an insurance policy on them just in case they get too crazy, so it don't matter. It's going to all work out for us. But you're not going to sign this deal we give them. Absolutely, I am not. So we got to talk to these young cats.
Yeah, that's, man. Because I was sitting here one day as you were talking, I was like, well, what caused the resurgence of, I don't know if I want to call them maturer artists. I mean, but that's what I'm gonna call them. The resurgence of them coming back. Clips, Killer Mike, LL Cool J, De La Soul, Ghostface Killer, Raekwon. That Raekwon album
was nice. The Ghostface was nice too, though.
Ghostface was nice too.
Raekwon was definitely hard.
Yeah, that was them albums were dope.
Yes.
And so you've seen, like, De La Soul just dropped an album not too long ago, which was pretty dope.
Right.
I listened. And Nas came out with a new one.
Yep.
So you're starting to see the legacy artists. They're back, right? They're not back making music. Not that they lost their skills.
Yeah.
Right. Because their pen game is still crazy.
Right. Even better. Some of them.
Some might be even better.
Some
like,
of them. I can tell you, I'm one of those ones. Like when you listen to my old stuff or listen to this stuff, like the Dangerous Unk sound better than 3 of my older albums. Easy work. I got one album I feel like it's on par because I was just really in my super bag at that one lyrically, but it's superior, right? Because my flow and everything, it's just more crisp and more precise.
You mentioned that Dangerous Unk is a legacy project.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I don't know if you explained, but what does that mean?
That means that when I leave this earth, this is the one that this is one of the ones that you can just put on and just feel me. I wasn't trying to on this album, I was not trying to impress anybody as far as like, I didn't make a song like, before I would make a song, but like, yeah, this would go crazy in the strip club, or the DJs definitely can spin this, or, you know what I'm saying, this is definitely a radio cut. Like, I didn't consider any of that. None of that came into my mind when I created this album. I heard a track, and I created a song that I talked about a topic that I wanted to talk about, and infused it with this particular production that grabbed my ear. That's why I work with different producers. I picked beats that it had to immediately grab me. Something about the beat had to grab me within the like first couple of seconds. When I first heard it, the first time, that's the one. You know what I'm saying? Immediately. I knew it when I heard it. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those projects that when you put on, this is like me. This is the legacy I'm leaving. This is just the album that you play when you just think of me as a person, as an artist, and just you want to remember me. You could just put this album on, and there's so much different parts of me on this album. You can get it all on this one album. Personally, my life, my backstory, me as an artist, everything, all of it's on one album. You know?
So 14 tracks? Is it 14?
Yeah, 14 tracks.
14 tracks. So out of those 14 tracks, which ones would you say are the ones that really hit who Blizm is?
I got to tell you off the top, the one that you mentioned that you liked earlier is 3 of Us.
I love it. Yo, 3 of Us is dope.
3 of Us is a record. It's first of all, the creative level that I went on there, like this, you know, if you haven't heard the record, I would say listen to it if you've seen this and you haven't heard it. On the record, I feel like I have really, really three personalities. Like I could be slick, undiagnosed. You know what I'm saying? Schizophrenic. I don't know, but I do feel like I have three different sides of me. Like, I can recognize them. My wife recognizes these three people clearly. She's like, when I heard the song, she was like, I always felt like that about you, but she was like, when I played the song, she was like, it's scary, like, because I really feel like that about you for real, right? And she was like, you do have three sides of you. She's like, you can be so sweet, but then you can be mean when you get mad. And you know what I'm saying? She was just like, she's seen all these sides of me before, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's really me. But it's me, it's all three of my personalities that I feel like I live with, talking to each other. And on the song, they're vying to take control, right? And so it's like that movie Split. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Where I've got these three different real people living inside of me. Right. And so on the record, I know there's been a lot of songs where people talk to themselves. Like DMX did one, T.I. did one. But a lot of people are telling me, first of all, it's different because it's three of you. You're talking to three different people, not just two. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going back and forth and they're having a conversation with each other and they're trying to explain to each other why they should be in charge. And so I think creatively, I was just up here with that. And it's really, really, really me. And you really get to understand like why you can meet me and be like, man, he's so cool, he's so smart. And then if you know me and you see me snap, be like, how could that possibly be the same person? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, how could that same guy get that outrageously upset and crazy, like, and be in you know, in that mode like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, but that's me. Like, that's me too, right? So, and there's those three people have to live together to make what you see every single day, from a creative perspective, from a father, right? From a protector, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a smart guy, but I'm also the protector of my household. And you'll meet Blizm quickly if you test that household. You feel what I'm saying? Right? So, like, listen, you know, you're a man. You have a house. You're the head of your household. That's another important record. Head of household is another song on the album that's very important to me. Very important. Everything that I'm saying, because head of household talks about what it's like to actually deal with depression as a black man. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get to cry. And so on the song, I'm talking about, listen, on the hook, my guy G LeBeau, he's killing that hook. I'm talking about, like, listen, fam, we don't get we get judged for what we have as men. We get judged for material. Like, just like women get judged for how they look. We get judged for what we have. And so I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that we don't get to be vulnerable. I'm talking about the fact of what it's like when you're actually the head of the household and the matriarch, how much extra pressure that is. Because if the lights get turned off, the first person they're gonna look at is me, not my wife. What you got a whole husband over there? What's going on? Where's your man? If anything go down in that house, first question is, where's your man? If they walk in the house and the house is dirty, where your wife? You know what I'm saying? But if there's something really going on seriously in the household,
where that man at?
Where that man at? If you're a real man. Now, we ain't talking about boys masquerading as men. We're talking about real men. And so that's what the song addresses. So there's a lot of records like that on the album that I feel like are really important. Yeah.
I mean, y'all need to go take a listen to this album. You know, when I've been, you know, perusing the album, and I got to tell you, it is a dope project. It is a dope project. You know, so three of us. Yep, that definitely is one that I heard. Yeah, immediately it had it's like a West Coast vibe, I guess, or I don't know. It just made me feel like I was. Yeah, like, oh shoot,
but it's grimy though.
It's grimy though.
A lot of people tell me it reminds them of an Eminem kind of vibe. I've heard that several times. Yes, I'm like, oh, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because there's a song that I like from Eminem, from Eminem called "My Darling."
Right,
and in the song, he's talking to a spirit, a demon in the song, right?
I know the song.
Yeah. So that it was reminiscent of that when I first heard it. I was
kind of a little bit of guilty conscience also sprayed up in there a little bit too with it. You know what I'm saying? With the production and like, I was like, that's what grabbed me when I first heard it. I was like, that's it. That's the one. And I already had that idea of that song in my head. I just needed to find a track. As soon as I heard it, I was like, that's the one for three of us. I was like, that's it. As soon as I heard it.
But it made me go like I was back on, I'm from the West Coast, but like I was on the West Coast, like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
You know, I heard the jam with Vision.
Yes, Older.
So yeah, that was dope.
Older is literally the oldest song on the album, because as we were wrapping up her album and finishing that album, And I was just in my creative bag and everything. She was like, "So you gonna do a project?" And I was like, I'm still on the fence, right? She's like, she's like, before we, she said, when we done with all my songs, we gonna do a song, and it's gonna be your song. You feel me? And I was like, she was like, I should like find a beat or whatever while I'm up here. And she's like, you know what I'm saying? You got to cook something up while I'm up here. And we did that song, and that was actually the very first song. And once I did that song, and when it came out, I was just like, man, she was like, man, listen to this song. She's like, you telling me you ain't gonna do one more, bro? You know what I'm saying? She's like, come on, man. Like, just like after this run, she was like, I'm telling you. And after doing Older, that was the very first song that I did for this album. And Older just kind of just turned me up. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do an album like this. Like I want Older was like the prefaces of it, like the preface, like this is what I'm gonna be on. You feel me? When I did Older, and I loved it so much, I was like, this is the vibe I'm gonna be on for the entire Danger. I didn't know that name was gonna be Dangerous Unk then. The album had 10 different names, but I said the mood and the vibe of the album. This is it. This is the production I want to. If you notice, a lot of the production is around that tempo. You know what I'm saying? I said this mood is what I was like, this is exactly what I said. I'm gonna make a whole album of stuff like kind of like this.
Yeah, because tempo, you know, dictates mood.
Yes. So that's why the album. It set the tone for the album. Yeah. Older set the tone for the rest of the album. Yeah.
That's dope. So, I mean, before we even get out of here, brother, I got to ask you, as an artist, producer, engineer, how do you think of, this is always a question I got to ask, how do you think about AI in music?
I'm glad you waited to the end so we can wrap it up, because we would have ate up too much time. I'm glad you waited to ask me. So let me say this. Let me be completely transparent. I use AI a little bit on the album. A little bit. Right?
When you say a little bit, what do you mean?
And like not a lot. So let me be very clear when I say this, because I need to be specific when people watching this. Listen to me. I use some AI on some parts, on some elements musically on this. Not any words. I wrote every word myself. There is no part of a lyric that was written by AI whatsoever, because I pride myself in being a songwriter and a pen master, right? That's my God-given thing. That's what I do better than anything in life. I don't do nothing better than I write songs. Nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? I write songs and raps better than anything else. So I never ask for help on that, right? So I just feel funny about it. I ain't saying I never will, but no. Right. But on the production, there were about 3 of the tracks where I was like, okay, I hear a sound and I hear a melody, but I don't play keys. I was a drummer. The only instrument I ever played was the drums. Growing up, I played the drums in church when I was a kid. I never actually played keys. So sometimes on a lot of my older albums, I would have to go hire keyboardists and bass players. I would pay them to come in and play it. If I wanted some of my great songs have keyboardists and people that I play to come in and play the keys, because I don't play them fluently like that. And sometimes I just can't get it on the chop up on a sample, right? So there are some keys on about 3 songs that you hear that were not, when I told you I manipulated some of the beats, I took the actual track itself, right? Just the beat, not the words. And I ran it through Suno. And I said, add me some melodic keys on top of this one, just a 2-track. I put the 2-track in there, set the tempo, and said I want to have some melodic keys on top of it. And there are some actual extra keys, and there's 2 songs that got added keys, and 1 song that has an actual added bass that sounds like a live bass on it, but it's actually Suno, right? And then I exported those waves out, flew them back into Pro Tools in my session, and mixed them back into the track, and mixed them in like it was part of the track. I did that on 3 different songs. So 3 of those songs have actual production AI assistance, 1 or 2 sounds, right? And also on 2 of the songs, there's like a background kind of sort of melody that you hear, where it's like an angelic kind of sort of sound that I used, and I got that out of there too, because I was like, I love the harmonies, I love everything about it, but there's just something from the arrangement that I wanted to hear from a tonal way. And I was like, I took the not the song itself, just the track, and then I said, sing these words that I already had. I typed the hook in there, and I had a acapella of the hook that I would record my acapella, fly my acapella in there. You feel what I'm saying? Of me singing it in the basic key, and then ask it to kick me out some harmonies and melodies. It would kick me out. I would take all those, export those waves out, and I flew them back in there, and I would pull them in. I got them pulled in and pulled down real low. In there, you can't tell which one is the singer or which one is the melody. You feel what I'm saying? Because I kept playing with it till I got it just sounded just like them, but just like a harmony. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Because you know, it was one situation where the artist, I just didn't have a lot of time with them because they were from out of town, and we just didn't get a chance to cook that part up, and I really heard it that day, but we ran out of time, and I was like, instead of trying to fly them back down, you hear her prevalently, you know she's the feature, but I got some melodies up under there. I used AI, so I say all that. I preface the answer to let people know that's how I feel about AI. Right. It's a tool. My answer is, I say all that to keep my answer simple. It's a tool. It's a tool to be used, but I am not on the side of it being a whole new artist from beginning to end, and we paying to go see holograms and you know what I'm saying, like, or you know, these AI artists are getting sync placements that human artists could have got, or they're, you know what I'm saying, or we collaborating with AI artists or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and we splitting pub with them, like, you know, no, just say you're a songwriter, you know what I'm saying, like, whatever, like, there's a limit to it. I feel like if you use it as a tool, it's okay. To me, at that point, it just becomes auto-tune, right? It just becomes auto-tune if you use it as a tool, but I am not ready to be riding around listening to AI artists full out, all out like that. Like, no, because why? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, just no. I'm not on that. And I drew a line in the sand on my platform, right? If it's a completely AI artist, like, I don't play them on K100. I'm not trying to exclude anybody because there are some really great AI songs. I think I might make a segment of where I just play AI music to give them a little space, but I'm not throwing them in rotation like they're real artists, like they're real people. I've just put that line in the sand for me personally, and that's where I'm at with it. Some may say that's hypocritical. Cool. Don't care. It's my platform. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Right? I can make the decisions. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's that. You may feel that way, but it is what it is. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? I do what I want to do, right? So, yeah. But that's where I'm at. I just feel like AI is a tool. It is not to be you at your own demise. You run away from it and act like you don't want no parts of it. Right. Now you're being foolish at that point. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, short answer, it's a tool. It's a tool. You know, and I think people are starting to use AI and don't know they're using AI. Yeah. Right. It's going to get to a point where you have no idea that you're even using AI. You know, you have DAWs, you have VSTs that are now AI driven. Yeah. And they're producing melodies and scales and chords and full-blown piano and bass. Like, like, I use Logic. Love Logic. Right. Like, Logic has what they call session players in it. And it can create an entire piano melody based upon the chords that you input into Logic. That's technically AI. It's technically AI. Even mastering programs like Lander and eMaster. Lander. Bro, that's AI. That's pretty much AI doing the job of a mastering engineer. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you got this big hoopla about that, but you use that tool all the time. Right? So, again, I may even come around to accepting full AI artists at some point. I don't know. I'm not there either with you. We on the same level right there. Like, I stopped short of that right there. Yeah. But I'm like, you know, but as far as like, am I mad about people using Suno? Heck no. See, I want to hear real artists, right? So I can enjoy the Dangerous Unk, knowing that there's a real human behind it with real story, real experiences, and communicating real life in music. Exactly. AI artist hasn't been through it, you know, and that's the thing. They were like, well, I'm a songwriter. I wrote what my experiences are. That's true. And the AI artist is just singing it. Yeah, but you ain't. But it's not you though. Right. Yeah. You're not. I think that's where I draw the line. It's like, it's not you. Yeah. But is it? Well, but is it the same for R&B artists who have songwriters? See, and that's the argument. That's the argument that people make. It's like, well, if you use Suno and you had to create a piano track, is that the same as hiring? Because like right now, I'm looking for a piano player for a song that if I could find a piano player with this song, boy, it's over for this track. Or you could just put it in Suno and save yourself a lot of headache. I could. Let me say this. Let me say this though. But let me say this though. On the back end of what you're saying, let's get into, before we wrap it up. I want to make sure I say this. This is where I feel like independent artists, this is where the rubber meets the road, because now you have to compete with AI. Now more than ever, I feel like your story, you telling your story, is more important than ever, right? And it has to be you, and it has to be authentic. I'm telling artists right now, and I'm looking into the camera because I really just feel like this is the time. AI is your competition. You've got other artists, but if you can't articulate and tell your story, If you can't also chill on a song, but also sit and tell it in an interview or project it on stage, how are you going to even be able to separate yourself from AI? And I feel like right now, that's what makes it also slick important, because it's making people.
That's right.
It's making artists become real artists, and it's humanizing the music again. So it's like, listen, one of the things that people have told me, what you just told me about the Dangerous Unk, everybody's telling me, bro, like the storytelling in the song is crazy. Like there's like I'm listening. I feel like I know you more. Like now, like that's right. That's my story. You can't. AI artist can never be Blizm. That's my story. I had to live that truth. And I feel like that's what's going to start to separate you. If you don't have the ability to tell your own story, if all you can do is come on there, just put words together and just turn up, and you can't really dig deep and really just say something meaningful, you're going to fall to the wayside to AI artists, because anybody can go in there and just say, that's what Suno does that all the time. Just tell it to write me a song about riding down the strip in the car. It can do that in 5 seconds. But can it tell you what happened when you got arrested that night and had to go to jail and had to bond out and how you felt? It can't tell you that. You feel what I'm saying? You can't tell you that. So that's the difference in somebody just conceptualizing a song and a whole artist, and they're saying, well, that's my story, and the AI is telling it. But when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to do that interview or whatever, or it's time to get on social media and see people in the comments co-signing that same event, I remember that. I was there. AI can never do that.
That's right.
You feel what I'm saying? Not for that AI artist. They can do it for the songwriter, but we don't know who that is. All we know is the artist. They don't know that person that don't exist. And that's going to start, and that's where the rubber's going to start to meet the road. The separation and humanizing of the music is what's going to make you as an independent artist stand out from AI, right? And people are going to either gravitate to it or they're not. But from what I can tell you, from me dropping a Dangerous Unk, that's what they want to hear right now. The authentic story is where it's at, but it's got to be real and it's got to be you.
Man, that's facts, brother. Facts. I love that. Man, so how can people support you? Where can they check out your music, the Dangerous Unk? Where can they go support you on K100? All of that. So
the Dangerous Unk, the album really is not even 2 weeks old from the date that we're doing this. 2 days from now to be 2 weeks old. So it just came out at the moment that we're recording. It's a week and some change, maybe 10 days, something like that, however long. So it's out right now. It's you can of course stream it on all platforms. I did that, but I also have downloadable MP3s, and I also have where you can order the physical CDs. All right. There's a couple of stores around Atlanta, like DBS Sounds here in Atlanta, where you can go and buy the record if you want to do that. You know what I mean? But you can also order it from us online, chainlessentertainment.com, or an easy way to remember it is dangerousunk.com, because I bought that domain to make sure it reroutes back over. You know what I'm saying?
That's
you
smart,
know what I mean?
y'all. That's smart.
So you can go to dangerousunk.com. That's easier to remember. Dangerous Unk. If you're watching this, put dangerousunk.com. And it'll take you over to Chainless Entertainment, and then you can actually order from my store. You can order physical CDs, or you can order the digital downloads. I also have it where you can order the clean version if you want to play it around your mom. I got a clean version available for digital download, and I also have high fidelity 41K, which that's technical, but basically CD quality waves that you could actually download for a little bit more. It costs you a little bit more to download those high quality waves, but that's to compete with like the lossless streaming.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to download it and ride around, you have to worry about your stream cutting off or whatever. Just download it for a couple of bucks, you know what I mean? Or you can order the CD straight up. Also, we have Dangerous Unk merch. This hat that I'm wearing right here comes in all kind of flavors. We've got K100 Radio shirts and Dangerous Unk shirts. Everything is available on the Chainless Entertainment website. And from Chainless Entertainment, you can find K100 Radio. It's right there embedded on the site, of course. You know what I mean? You can download the K100 Radio app, which is available on Google and also iTunes, Apple Store, whatever. And we're also on TuneIn Radio, so you can listen to us 24/7. We're a live streaming broadcast, and we play a lot of independent music, and a lot of people that you probably had on your platform or may have on your platform. It's a live broadcast to showcase independent artists, but we play major songs too. We mix it all in, you know what I mean? And it's really good. We have shows and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. But man, Blizm, it's been great just to reconnect with you, man.
Thank you,
It's been a
brother.
minute since we saw each other at one of Making It Magazine's events.
Yep.
So I'm glad we had a chance to connect and finally
Absolutely,
sit down. I
man.
remember you put it in my ear that day. It was like, yo, I got something coming.
Right. I told you, I said, I want to do something with you.
Right.
But I got to wait until I'm ready.
That's
I got
right.
something coming up. And now that it's out, now I appreciate you affording me the platform.
Yeah,
but this
man,
is,
anytime,
listen,
brother.
man, the Indie Unplugged, man, you've mastered this, bro. Trust me. Like, there's a lot of people that I've done interviews. I've done about 6 so far, and I got another one tomorrow and some more coming up. right? But and I'm not knocking anybody's platform, but there's certain ones that have a look and feel, especially when you look at it aesthetically online. And I think that yours aesthetically online is one of the is up here with like any major platform that I can see.
Appreciate
just
that.
your cuts and your edits and your camera angles and just your everything is
Hey.
You know
Hey,
what I
that's
mean?
a technical producer
Shout
in
out to the
there,
technical
boy.
producer.
Y'all don't even know.
Right.
He been there. Hey, he been
doing
there with
his
the
thing.
switch. Click, click, click.
Yeah.
He
so
make
I
it look
think,
great.
listen, man, aesthetically yours look as good as anything out. You know what I mean?
Man,
So
appreciate it,
yeah,
man.
I wanted to get on here. I was like, I want to tell my story to this brother, and I know it's gonna come out looking right.
Yeah, of course, of course. But man, once again, it's a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to another Indie Unplugged segment. It's your man, Vaughan. Once again, make sure y'all support us. Go check us out. Go to our website, wecreatemusic.tv. You can check all of our programs up there. This interview is going to be dropping real soon, so y'all make sure y'all tap in with my man Blizm. Go support. We're all about the independent music creative, so support us and support Blizm as well. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We are out. Peace.